Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gavin and I thought I would do a book haul today, but it is going to be part one of two because since mid-July, since the last time I posted a book haul, I have had many books either sent to me, I've either bought them, I've either been sent them as ARCs or proof copies. I keep pushing back the book hauls. I don't know why, but I've now accumulated too much to show off in one video pretty much. So I'm making this a two-parter. Part one is going to be me going through the ARCs and the proofs that I've been sent and the books that I've bought myself. And then part two, which will probably come next week, will be the books that I've been sent from you amazing viewers, from my friends, just so I can highlight the generosity and the amazing community of BookTube, because you guys, like, seriously, you are the best. You are genuinely the best. For the record, this is not going to be a musical book haul because I keep getting copyright strikes and I think that I'm really pushing my luck now, so I'm being very careful about using copyrighted music. So I'm just gonna have to charm you with my personality instead. Nah. So I think I might start off with the books that I've actually bought. So if you're new to my channel, then you should know that I absolutely love to buy books. I love spending money that I don't have on books. Honestly, I just love it, like, so much, like just having like physical copies of books. And the best thing about buying books as well is that I know that I'm going to be spending my time on something worthwhile. It's going towards publishers and authors and supporting, you know, the incredible creative talents that are out there. And books just make me feel safe and secure, you know. I just know that they're not going to judge me or anything. So without further ado, I will go through the books that I've bought myself. And since my early book haul days, I've definitely bought less and less now. So I'm going to go straight into it. I'm going to start off with the middle grade books that I've bought. And the first one was 13 Treasures by Michelle Harrison. Michelle Harrison wrote A Pinch of Magic, which is one of my favourite children's books so far in 2019. This is Michelle Harrison's debut novel, which she published in 2009. And it was just recently re-released with this nice new cover to kind of match A Pinch of Magic. Yeah, this is the start of a series, the 13 Treasures series, and it is about a young girl called Tanya who can see fairies, but not the fairies that we would think of. So Tanya gets sent to live with her grandmother, and then she realizes that there was a young girl years and years ago who disappeared, and I believe this is sort of like a mystery adventure kind of story. So because I loved A Pinch of Magic, I had to pick this up, especially with the nice new cover, and I believe they're re-releasing the entire series, which I think there's only three books in the series with these similar covers. So you know I'm a sucker for a lovely cover. So the next two, actually, I think you have already seen, and that is The Ghost in the Mirror and The Vengeance of the Witchfinder by John Bellairs, completed by Brad Strickland. And these two books are in the Lewis Bonneville series, aka the House with the Clock in its Wall series. You will have seen me already read this in one of my vlogs towards the end of July, towards the end of last month, and I gave this one 3 stars, I believe. The Lewis Bonneville series isn't the best, and it definitely shows its age, because it was originally released like in the 70s and then the 90s with a new author who completed the series after John Bellairs died. And these are about a young boy who is welcomed in by his magical uncle and his neighbour Mrs. Zimmerman, and he learns to be a young warlock. And he has a best friend called Rose Rita who they go on little adventures with, but the last 2 books I've read, they've just been Rose Rita, and Lewis Bonneville wasn't in them at all. So the next one I need to read is The Vengeance of the Witchfinder, and I'm hoping this has it does say Lewis Bonneville on the back, so I'm guessing the main character of the series is back in the series. Wow, after 2 books missing, he's back. He is back. But the publishers are also releasing these old children's books with these nice new covers as well, so they will match with the first 3 that I already have. I'm looking forward to the other ones in the series. I believe there might be between 8 and 12 books in the Lewis Bonneville series. So it'll be great to see if they continue publishing them. I really hope they don't stop halfway through. So the next 2 books are also part of a series, and they are The Polar Bear Explorers Club and Escape on Witch Mountain. I'm thinking of the movie. The Polar Bear Explorers Club and Explorers of Witch Mountain by Alex Bell. These are what some people, aka what Jade, would call as polar fantasy. And I did pretty much buy these because they are recommended by Jade. She enjoys them. And I believe these are sort of adventures through these very frosty landscapes. There are witches, I believe. I mean, considering the second book's called Explorers on Witch Mountain, I would assume there are witches. So it is about a young girl called Stella, and she joins the polar bear explorers on this expedition where there are yetis and witches and all those kind of things you would usually find in fantastical children's literature. And I'm really excited to read these because I love the covers of these, which you'll find is a recurring theme for me. I love covers, and it's a wonder that I haven't already read these. You know, I have seen these around a lot, and I love magical children's literature the most. Apparently there are carnivorous cabbages as well in this. Fair. And the next two are part of a series as well, and I got these because Jade had read them again and she really enjoyed these, and they are A Place Called Perfect and The Trouble with Perfect by Helena Duggan. A girl called Violet moves to a creepy town that's very Coraline-esque, can be a little bit creepy, and people are going missing in this town as well, so it sounds like a very atmospheric children's book, and I do love it when children's books can really pull off that creepiness. And I do know that Jade really enjoys this series, and there is a third one coming out soon. I believe it's called The Battle for Perfect, I think. So again, another children's literature series that I genuinely need to get in on. And the next one needs absolutely no introduction because I've already read it. You guys, if you've been with me and watched my vlogs, you'll have seen me have already read it, and that is The Land of Ro by Jenny McLachlan. I bought this one because it is the children's book of the month at Waterstones for the month of August, and it is very Jumanji, never-ending story-esque. It is about a boy and a girl. They are twins, and they conjured up this land of Ro that is imaginary, that they made up as kids, but as they're growing older, they're forgetting about it, they don't think it's real. But then when their granddad gets taken by a scarecrow into the land of Ro, they have to go in after him and save him, and it's filled with mermaids and dragons and wizard ninjas and things like that, and it's genuinely one of the most imaginative children's books I've read in a while. So I would definitely recommend this one because it was just, yeah, it's a good time. It is a good time. So I've actually only really bought one young adult book in the past 1 month and a half, and that is Proud, which is like an anthology of stories, poetry and art based on the theme of pride, and it is compiled by Juno Dawson, who wrote things like Clean and Meat Market, and I've actually never read Juno Dawson before, so I'll be very interested in picking her up because she has been recommended to me, and I'm really interested in reading her work. But this does include a story by Simon James Green with artwork by Alice Oseman, and I do have it signed by both of those authors for the story that Simon James Green wrote and the art by Alice Oseman. I don't usually read like short story collections, to be honest. I'm not really the biggest fan of them. I wanted to buy the physical copy because I've had both of those authors in my Waterstones branch, and they did signings, and of course I couldn't pass up the opportunity to have this physically, and I do want to try and get to this as quickly as possible. Okay, moving on to adult horror, I actually have another short story collection, and that is a collection by Richard Lehman, and this has two short stories in, one called The Glory Bus and another one called Friday Night in Beast House. A friend at work who recommended me Off Season by Jack Ketchum, who said, you know, that one's pretty fucked up. He said Richard Lehman's works are also really great to check out. He definitely recommended The Glory Bus, and The Glory Bus I think has cannibals in it. It is about a woman called Pamela who gets on a bus into the desert, I think, and there are cannibals. It sounds very Hills of Eyes-esque, so he recommended that one. Friday Night in Beast House is about a man called Mark, and he really wants to get a date with Alison. Alison, Alison, kiss me, I'm Alison. Woo. The only condition she has of going on a date is that he has to spend a night with her in a place called Beast House, and there's a chance that they could die. Would you risk it? Would you do that just to get a date with somebody? I mean, they'd have to be really fucking special. They'd have to be like Zac Efron or Shawn Mendes or Dr. Mike. Another adult horror that I got was Stephen King's Salem's Lot. This one was recommended to me a lot when I said that I wanted to read a lot more Stephen King, at least once a month. I believe it's about vampires. Now, I've kind of gotten over the whole vampire craze. I used to be obsessed with True Blood, Vampire Diaries, even like the Twilight movies, which I found weren't very good, but I enjoyed them in a way. Never read the books, apart from the first one, which I didn't like. But I think Stephen King will do vampires right. If it's anything like 30 Days of Night, which I loved, then that would be really good. I know it's like set in a small town. Yeah, there are unusual things happening in this town, which is, I do love small town kind of horrors. I find them really atmospheric, and with it being Stephen King, I'm sure he's not going to let me down. And a lot of people really did recommend this one, so I'm excited to get to this one. It is chunky, as his works usually are. Another one that I think can pass for horror, I think it's horror, is Meddling Kids by Edgar Cantero. And this is like a Scooby-Doo horror-esque ghost story thingy-mabobby. It's like they've got a dog, there's 2 guys, 2 girls. You know, it's pretty much adult Scooby-Doo, where one of them is a ghost, and I think one of them is a raving lunatic as well, something like that. It just sounds like right up my street, and I don't really know a lot of people who have read this one. So if you've read it and you have thoughts about this one, then do tell me. This one I got in a charity shop when I went to York with Becca from Becca and the Books. And I got this for like £2 or £3. I forgot the price now. This was my first ever charity shop buy, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I hope it's good. I mean, for the price, can't go wrong. And lastly, of the books that I bought Recursion by Blake Crouch. I got this one from the Waterstones in Hexham because they had a signed copy. And I believe this is an adult sci-fi. If you like dark matter, you'll like this. I pretty much bought this one because Book Roast gave this 5 stars, and I need to read more like adult sci-fi. I definitely neglect that genre, and I've only ever read 2, and I read both of them this year. I believe this follows a man called Barry who has the same name as my dad. It's something to do with memory. I am terrible at explaining books that I've never read yet, and if you're a veteran here, you will know that. If you're new here, explains why my book holds a bit shit. This is about a world where there is a disease that has taken away people's memories, I believe, and replacing them with ones of a life they've never led. That is what I think it's about. It does look really good, and I wanted the signed copy because, you know, why the hell not? I'm really excited to try more adult sci-fi. Okay, so moving on to the arcs and the proofs and other things that publishers have sent me. The first one actually, again, needs no introduction because I've just recently finished it, and that is The Girl Who Speaks Better by Sophie Anderson. I got this one last month. It is a hand-stamped limited proof copy, and this is about a young girl called Yanka, and she is found in a bear cave when she is a child, and she is taken to this village. And when she's older, she begins to question who she is, and she looks towards the snow forest where she was found to find the answers for this. And this is a very great adventure story. If you've read The House of Chicken Eggs by Sophie Anderson, then you should know what to expect with this one because it has the same sort of charm. It has the same important messages of family and friendship. I'll not speak too much about this one because you guys are probably sick of hearing about me banging on about this, but this does come out on the 5th of September. So definitely check it out when it comes out. It is a great children's book and I absolutely adored it. So the next proof copy I received is called The Swords of Silence by Sean Curry, and this is going to be the first in the Sword of Fire trilogy, I believe it's called. This one comes out on September 19th. So this is set in 1626, is that right? 1620? Yeah, 1626 between May and June in Japan, when a time when Christians were outlawed, and it follows a small village that is sort of run by Father Joaquim Martinez, and he kind of, I believe it's up to him to save this village from this Lehman massacre. I love me some historical fiction every now and then. This does look really good, and it does come out pretty soon now, so I've got to try and get this read ASAP. Another arc that I requested was The Lost Ones by Anita Frank. This one is a Woman in Black inspired ghost story set in 1917, I believe it is. So this follows Stella, who has just lost her husband in the First World War, and she goes to live with her pregnant sister in this amazing country house. But of course, it's a ghost story. It's very inspired by Woman in Black, so strange things begin to happen. And I do love my ghost stories, so this one is going to be pretty awesome. This one comes out, I believe, on the 31st of October. Perfect time for a ghost story. And yeah, it looks really good. I did actually have Hotstopper Volume 2 by Alice Oseman sent to me from the publisher as well, a couple of days before it was released. And I did manage to get this one signed by Alice Oseman as well. So this is about 2 young boys, Nick and Charlie, who go to a school in the United Kingdom, and they fall in love, and it's so sweet, so nice. Charlie is gay, Nick is bisexual. It goes through like the trouble of being a teenager in the UK, the struggles and the heartbreaks and all of those things. So it's very relatable, and you will probably shed a tear by the end of Volume 2, which I definitely did. It's so sweet, so amazing. This is like one of the most heartwarming LGBT books I've read in such a long time. Yeah, this one was also sent to me a few days before publication, but I didn't actually have a chance to read it until the news. A really interesting arc came into the shop a few weeks ago as well, called The Vanishing Bride by Bella Ellis, and this looks really good because it's going to be the start of the Bronte mysteries. So this follows Charlotte, Emily and Anne Bronte in 1845 in Yorkshire, and there is a murder and they end up investigating it. Like, who doesn't want to read a book where the Bronte sisters solve mysteries? Like, it sounds so good. This one comes out on the 7th of November, and I'm really interested to see like how this is sort of like pulled off. It just seems so weird, but such a great concept, I think. So this is one that I think I'm going to really enjoy. Like, it's going to be such a surprise. So yeah, it sounds quite gothic because it's set in the moors in Yorkshire, so can't go wrong. The next arc that I have is a young adult contemporary, and it is called Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett. This one is about a young girl who is diagnosed with HIV, and she is still in school. I feel like this is going to be an important read for young adults, especially with the stigma of being HIV positive. But apparently Becky Albertalli calls this romantic, funny and hopeful. So I'm guessing it's going to be tackling this very serious issue, but it's also going to be rather uplifting as well. So that's going to be really interesting to read. This one also comes out on the 31st of October. It sounds like she keeps this a secret, and this secret in the wrong hands could be quite dangerous for her. I mean, not that I read a lot of young adult contemporary, but it does sound pretty interesting. The next one that I actually requested was The Memory Thief by Lauren Manzi. This one comes out on October 1st, and it is in a world where memory is currency, but there are a lot of corrupted people in, you know, this world. Like, criminals and things their memories get auctioned off and then they are killed or something like that. And the main character is called Etta, and I believe her mum, she had an accident. Now she's been like auctioned off and she's going to try and save her. I think that's the plot. I can't really say much until I've actually read it, but Etta does join a group called the Shadows to help fight this corrupted society. So I don't know, it sounds a little dystopian, and I really do enjoy the cover of this arc as well. It looks like a quick and easy read too. So I thought, why not? I'll give it a try. The next one I'm really intrigued by, and that is Kingdom Tide by Ry Curtis. When I saw this one, I was just like, this really intrigues me. So what is it about? This one doesn't come out until the 5th of March 2020, so I have plenty of time to read it. So this is about a woman who survives a plane crash, and she is lost in the wilderness, and a park ranger, who is another woman, she leads the rescue mission, and it's kind of like their lives intertwine kind of thing. It's a really, I genuinely couldn't explain it any better than that. But apparently this is a story about resilience in the face of hopelessness, and it just seems like such an interesting book to read. It sounds a little bit like The Mountain Between Us-esque, starring Kate Winslet, which I kind of like. This park ranger is trying to find the survivor of this plane crash, and she's called Cloris Waldrop. Cloris Waldrop? Yeah. And it's set in 1986. I don't think it's based on a true story, but like things like this have happened. So I kind of really intrigued by the way that this is going to play out. So yeah, plenty of time to read this one though. It doesn't come out until March next year, so no rush, but at the same time I am wanting to read this quite quickly. The next two books actually were sent from a publisher, even though one of them had been out for like a year, and the next one was like coming out in a few days after I got these, but it's Sea Witch and Sea Witch Rising by Sarah Henning. This is the story of Ursula, who we know as the Disney villain, but this is sort of like the backstory to her, so kind of like her life, like what led up to the events of The Little Mermaid. And I couldn't really tell you where the story goes for Sea Witch Rising. I don't know why there needs to be two books, but I saw that they were offering Sea Witch Rising to booksellers, and I was like, well, I may as well go for it. And they also sent Sea Witch, the first one, so I ain't complaining, because I didn't have this one yet. But I do love reimaginings of fairy tales, and I think this is going to be more like following the original Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale of The Little Mermaid, rather than the Disney version that I know and love. So I'm really interested in seeing where these go. But these are already out, so almost coming towards the end. Sorry about the length of this, but the next book is called Shadows of Winterspell by Amy Wilson. This does sound like a polar fantasy. middle grade book. It is about a young girl called Stella, and there is this forest that she is part of. The forest is gripped by this magic, and I think she's trying to find a way to release that grip from this forest that she's trying to save. So it sounds like adventure-esque. It sounds a little bit like The Girl Who Speaks Bear, and this young girl has to confront family secrets. There is fae magic in this as well, so I'm interested to see what goes on in this. But this is described as a spellbinding wintry middle grade. And it comes out, when does this come out? This comes out on the 17th of October. Gosh, I'm running out of time. Although it's only August, that's fine. But yeah, I do love me some middle grade. Second last now, I did get Wizards of Wands 3, Knock 3 Times. This one comes out on the 19th of September. It is the third book in the Wizards of Wands series, which I haven't read yet, but I have just recently been gifted them, and they will be in part 2 of the book haul in the gifted ones. Cressida Cowell is the writer of the incredibly successful How to Train Your Dragon series, and the Wizards of Wands series, I believe, is to do with magic. But the Wizards of Wands series does follow a boy and a girl. The boy is a wizard, the girl is a warrior, and that's pretty much all I know about the Wizards of Wands series because I haven't read them yet. So hopefully I'll get to them pretty soon. But I do like that I managed to get a proof copy of this one as well. It was just neglected in the staff room. Nobody was claiming it, so I'm giving this a good home, even though I won't get this read before it comes out. So, and last but not least is a book that I recently opened in one of my recent vlogs, and that is A Heart, Sophias and Broken by Bridget Chimera. This one comes out on the 21st of January 2020. It is a sequel to A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which I gave 3 stars. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it could find its own feet for most of it, and I didn't think it really picked up until like the last 150 pages. So I am interested in reading this one a lot more than the first one because I think it's going to carve its own path. But it does follow a young girl who gets sucked into this fantasy world where there is a curse placed on it, and she tries to help break this curse, and it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, because I think now it can sort of move past that Beauty and the Beast retelling stage and start to be its own story. Looking forward to this, and I just absolutely love this proof. Like, it came with a bow and it looked amazing, and yeah, came with a bow, came with a key. I'm just really happy that I have this one as well. It just looks so good. It looks so good. Oh wait, no, sorry, it comes out the 7th of January 2020, not the 21st. Awesome. So that is pretty much it for the books that I bought myself and the ARCs and proof copies that I received. But definitely stay tuned with my vlogs and things, because I do want to read a lot of these ARCs, and if you want to know if these are worth checking out before they come out, then it might be good to see what I think of them, and I am really excited to read pretty much all of them, to be honest. But yeah, I've saved myself a lot of money this past month and a half by not buying so many books. That was the first part of the book haul. Thank you so much for watching. Like this video if you enjoyed what you saw. Leave a little comment down below. Let me know if there's any books that you're really interested in reading from what I've just shown you. There is a lot there, I know. Also, let me know if you've read any of the books as well. I'd love to know if you loved them, hated them. Chat to me, chat to me. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.